before we get, by the way, welcome to Smartly Uneducated, everybody.
Yeah, you know who we are. You're back for a reason. You like me mostly.
Yeah.
You're here for Evan. Me.
Hey, do we have a special guest too?
Oh, yeah, we got this little guy over
you want
here.
to show
Get
people
this little
the
guy over here.
special guest that we have?
Get this little guy over here. Hey, it's me. Hi. Nah, he's just a little dude. He's funny. Yeah,
He's just a little dude. He's funny. Wow, I did not know that. You had a problem with little people.
with little people,
You said a little dude.
It's just a little dude. I like little dudes. Little people. They're fun. Look at them. Hey.
I saw a couple people at the gym this morning.
Careful now, bud.
But no, so just so everyone's aware, we are going to be here in just a minute. We are going to dive into Klaus Schwab
And the WEF.
The WEF.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with WAP.
Confused
With the WAP.
No, we're not. No, we are not confused with that.
Wet economic forum, not the wet ass problematics
Forum.
WAP.
I've been trying to, like abbreviations for
WAPF. WAP.
WAPF. WAP.
WAP.
WAP. WAP.
WAP.
WAP. Anyway,
I'm
here we
retarded.
are. Here we are over at Smartly Uneducated.
Moving.
Anyway.
Anyways, you're saying. You're saying. Go ahead.
What was I saying? I don't know if I can know what I was talking about. I was talking about the WEF and all that bullshit. My computer keeps scrolling down by itself.
I'm trying to get a whiff of this, but I'm only getting a whiff, and it's bothersome.
You're getting a whiff of the whiff? Wait, a whiff of the WEF. There you go.
I'm getting a good whiff of this whiff.
We've lost the
It's
script.
gone into the whiff.
We've lost the script here. We've lost the
Yes,
script.
we have. We have. We are going to talk. We're going to talk about Klaus Schwab. Did I say that name right?
Yeah, Klaus
Yeah.
Schwab. He's a little German
I
fellow.
kept calling him Shish Kebab leading up to this podcast because I don't know what it is about his last name. Like, I was having such a hard time remembering his name that, like, I would literally read Klaus Schwab. 2 minutes later, I'd be talking to you. I'd be like, Shish Kebab man.
You called him Santa Claus at one time.
No, I did not.
That's Santa Claus Schwoodaboo.
Santa Claus is not a greedy, evil piece of shit. He gives presents to all the white people. I saw a movie where apparently he's all white. Isn't that like the Hallmark thing?
Yeah, that's fair.
Although I'm a huge fan of Black Santa.
Did you happen to see
I really am. Like, the idea of Santa, like if Santa like overall was black and that was like what ended up being contextually accurate to anything of the source of Santa Claus, I'd be here for it.
I'd prefer that.
He's
honestly.
much more jolly looking. Like, he looks like a friendly, happy guy.
I wouldn't have to go buy shea butter all the time and use it on my. You just deliver it to
I
me.
have to buy shea butter, bro. Oh, dude. So I'm sure people are aware I have the Grand Canyon on my forehead, right? I got the wrinkles going on. I'm getting older. It's from me going.
It's from you hating people.
Yeah. It's like, or just going, huh? Or like, oh,
surprised all the time.
whoa. It's from the years of drugs in my younger days. It was like, you ever done enough coke that you're like an owl, man?
And we call that an awkward silence.
What? Yeah, no crap. No, all jokes. But no, ever since Pam and I got together, which is my wife, whenever
My wife.
my wife, she's so hot. Anyways, so as when we even first got together, over like the first like year and a half, my forehead started developing more and more of the wrinkles, and she was like, "You got to moisturize and blah blah blah," and all this crap. Well, I started to do that more often, like actually, like when I get done with the shower, whatever, because like, my hands will be torn up with calluses, and because I used to do all the blue collar work before I switched careers, and I know you can relate to that shit.
Absolutely, brother.
And well, the thing is, I noticed that my wrinkles aren't as pronounced as they normally are now compared to like 4 months ago, because so Pam had this like bottle of whatever oil, and she said that like, she's like, so this oil, she recommended it to me. She was like, hey, you take your shower, and then before you fully dry off and you still like are damp and stuff, you take just a few drops of this oil, rub it together, and then it mixes with the water, and then it like spreads it all out because it's like oily, and it's for like
it's oily oil.
yeah. It's not like you know how you buy like some type of body oil.
It's funny you say that, Ben, because that your wrinkles are getting less pronounced. Because every time you raise your eyebrows, a gust of wind hits me in the face. Oh shit! No,
Dude, it's so hot in here. I got you. I'm fanning you right now. I'm pretty sure I look pretty dumb just then. That's okay.
So we've talked about frequencies on the show before, right? And how they heal and do all the beneficial regards to your body.
So they get rid of wrinkles.
So there's this wand you can buy. It's a high frequency wand they use in dermatologists and facials and the spas and whatnot.
I have. Is this a sexual joke?
No, you nasty fucking pervert.
I was like, I'm not.
So they have
dildos.
these magic wands. They look like glass, like daggers almost, and one looks like a ball, like a flat ball, and then you turn it on and it shoots plasma or argon or neon onto your through the glass sphere onto your forehead or spots or anywhere on your body, and it.
You sure this isn't something sexual, my man?
I'm positive.
You're
fucking
talking about
pervert.
you literally were like a wand, and you had this thing, and it's like. And
I didn't
like,
do that. You did that.
You first went like a wand.
Yeah, you have a
and then
wand.
you started going like the circular thing, and it like this.
Yeah,
and then you were like, it does this thing, and it squirts.
I didn't say squirt at all.
Them onto your fucking forehead. It's like, listen, I get that there's different types of porn videos out there.
Listen
man.
here. It's just you and I, Ben. We're trying to have a fun show. You're trying to be goofy. I get it. But the listeners want to hear real shit. They want to hear things that are going on, man. Why you got to make it so gay?
Because I read about Klaus Schwab.
Well, hey.
Hey, dude. Wouldn't my dark place.
But I've been using this high frequency wand on my face because I have similar issues with my forehead, and I have really bad cirrhosis as well. So it helps oxygenate the skin, bring blood to it, gets rid of the toxins, and gets rid of, if you have a really bad like medical dandruff and things like that, it'll help get rid of it. And it works. I do it every morning for about 15 minutes, and it helps bring new fresh blood to your face and gets rid of things. The Chinese and
so you get that fresh red blood cell count up in there.
Yeah,
baby.
brother.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it shoots like lightning onto your face.
Ooh, can I share a fun fact?
No,
about red
let's
blood
move on.
cells? No. It's the red blood cells. Fuck you. This is actually important to know because it's about what you're talking about, because it's already in your bloodstream. The stuff that's affecting your red blood cells. So.
Is this
if
is
no,
this
it's
a
about
sexual
fluoride.
thing?
No, it's about fluoride in the water.
Mm.
So, just a fun fact, a little knowledge nugget for you guys to know about is that how they put fluoride in the water for cleaning purposes, things like that. And it's a smaller percentage, so they say that it's not harmful, right? But we already know that there is data coming out showing that drinking fluoride, having fluoride in our water supply, is actually there's data now coming out showing that it does have negative effects.
Yeah, it lowers your IQ.
It lowers your IQ and kills red blood cells,
Mm-hmm.
and also lowers white blood cell count.
Yes, it does.
And then when they started, so I started looking into it a little bit to see like the rise of like people getting sick more often. What's the percentage of people getting sick per decade, right? Pretty much when they started doing the fluoride, it was like, I don't remember the exact time frame, so I'm not going to try to be precise, but basically it was like roughly 3 to 5 years after fluoride became a normalcy in water supplies. You're
popping a lot.
It's because I'm leaning down.
Yeah.
Sorry. So basically, like 3 to 5 years after they started putting, fluoride in the water, and it was like a normal thing across the board, pretty much everywhere in the United States, the rise of people being sick more often was also kicking up around the 4 to 5 year mark after fluoride became a normal thing across the board.
Are we talking about fluoride now? Getting rid of the WEF?
Yeah, no. I just wanted to add that knowledge nugget. So it's like my recommendation to everyone, if you can, if you can do your own, like, getting proper filtrated water, not from the tap, from your local water municipal district. Now, no, I know a lot of people will go, oh, hey, I'll just go get the water jugs at Walmart, right? Well, how do you think that? Where do you think the fuck that comes from? They're putting Florida in that too.
If it's distilled, it's a different story.
Yeah, that's different. And they say not to drink distilled water, right?
Yeah, they
Which
say
is
you shouldn't.
weird because I don't know what's so wrong with distilled water.
It's clean.
Yeah, I don't know why they always say don't drink distilled water, but yet everything I've looked up on distilled water, I'm not really seeing anything that's actually alarming, as in it's bad for you compared to what they do at these water treatment plants. And I know actually firsthand about these water treatment plants because I used to haul basically lime to these water treatment, water municipal districts, because we would pump it into their tanks and they would use it for cleaning the tanks. And they say it's harmless, all that stuff. It's naturally in the ground. It's lime. Yeah, but the waters, the water, the wells that are in the ground, the natural well deposits of water, aren't sitting in the lime slurry mixture that I'm bringing in
for months.
Yeah, that's a little bit different, man. Like that. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. I just
moving on.
moving on. I was just making a
looking to
knowledge nugget.
Just go get a reverse osmosis filtration for your house. It's about $5,000. It's worth the investment. They last 30, 40 years if you take care of them properly. We have one. It's amazing. Our water is soft and it's clean. It's fantastic.
Love me some soft water.
Me too, brother. I did not know I liked it until I got it.
When I lived in Kansas, it was we had a water softener, and we had to put because we had our own well, so we weren't off the city stuff. Never drink that fucking water, dude.
The well water.
Dude, when I first moved out there to Kansas, I heard people like, "Don't drink." The locals are like, "Don't drink that water." Blah blah blah. And I was like, fuck you guys talking about? I was like, dude, I grew up drinking water from the tap, you pussies. Like, blah, blah, blah. I drank one fucking cup of that water. Dude, I even finished the cup out. My stomach hurt.
Yeah.
And I was like, ah. I was like, I gotta poop. I didn't have to poop. It just hurt, dude. It felt like a bowling ball was in my stomach.
Yeah, it's like a brick.
It's because it was hard water. And then also our well had rust in it.
Oh, God.
Like natural rust deposits, like down in this
don't
natural well. So we had to buy we had the water softener system, but we had to buy a particular kind that could take the salt pellets that were the rust away salt pellet kind. So it was a different compound mixture in these salt pellets, and it was mixed with this rust away stuff, and so it would kill the rust, whatever that stuff's called that creates the rust.
Iron?
Yeah, or no.
Oxygen?
I forgot what it's called. It basically dissolves and disintegrates away like into nothingness any kind of rust that's floating through the water line.
I said deja vu, brother.
And so I think we've talked about four a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, dude, I never would drink that water. I would go buy as much bottled water as I fucking could because it was one thing you had to shower in it. Yeah, you shower in it or whatever, but
that's how it goes. That's how Arkansas water is too.
My skin always was fucking fucked
hard.
up and feeling weird. Felt like there was always like a layer of something on me, and it was always because of that hard ass water, man. Hard water.
Couldn't get clean. I know that feeling.
Yeah. Moving on.
Klaus Schwab.
Hell yeah, dude.
Who is Klaus Schwab, Ben? Do you know who he is?
The name of a circus clown.
No.
Oh. Yes.
Close.
He's isn't he one of the founders Klaus Schwab is a founder and a chairman on the World Economic Forum.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. He's been the only sitting individual of the World Economic Forum ever since its creation. The man now is 86 years old. He's been doing it for quite a while. He came from wealth because his family was were steel magnates. They helped with steel in America. They come from Germany as well. There is a huge conspiracy that his father was a right-hand man or partner with Hitler. That is a huge conspiracy that goes around.
I mean, he is a German engineer.
Correct. So that is I don't know if there's any volition to that thought or the process because he would be kind of young in regard to the Hitler my mindset, but
it's
still
if he's
a
like
possibility.
80-something. He would have been 20 when World War II was going on.
Not necessarily
roughly.
him in general, but his father.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd say he would have been like maybe in his 20s or
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah.
At that point, because World War II would be in the, in like 19, around 1940, in the 1940s area, and it's
He would
now
have probably seen the end of
2024.
all that stuff.
So he would have been like 22 or 20, somewhere around
Brother,
there.
I'm bad at math. Don't ask me.
Well, I'm saying it was the 40s to the 2000s, that's 60,
60
and now
years,
it's
yeah.
24. So if he's like 86 or 85, whatever, he would have been like 20
Yeah,
when
roughly,
that was
give
going
or
on.
take, right?
Yeah. Oh, damn. Can you imagine being that old and like all the, like living through all those different time periods?
We will be doing that.
That sucks.
We are still young in our own regard. We will definitely still be
Not a fan.
able to see until 2073, hope potentially.
I'm not a fan. I don't want to make it past 2050.
I hope I can see 2073. I hope I can see 2100. That's what I want to see.
I just wanted Back to the Future Part 2 to be somewhat accurate.
I want to be 110 years old,
Jump.
baby.
1985 to, what was it, 2025 or 2015?
Yeah,
Or
2015.
2055 or something like
Yeah.
that, whatever it was. Yeah, dude, like flying cars, hoverboards, and like real hoverboards, not the fucking ones on wheels they have now, where it's like, oh, look, a hoverboard, bitch, they ain't
And then
hovering.
it catches on fire, blows your feet off. Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
future
God.
sucks, dude.
I just wanted the 3D Jaws to pop out and try to eat me, like in the movie, but
Well,
that didn't happen.
They're doing that over there in Japan.
Japan.
She'll wait, but I'll tell you what.
Japan.
Yeah.
Moving on. Whatever. So he is a founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. We are trying our best to stay on track
Yeah.
over here.
Which is by the way, it's an annual gathering held in Davos, Switzerland, that brings together global leaders from business, politics, academia, and civil society. Since its founding in 1971, the WEF has become a prominent platform for discussing global economic issues, policy changes, and potential solutions to worldwide problems.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a gathering for the European business leaders. I'm not sure if you mentioned that. It started off in like 1971 as a way for all of these large European companies to perfect their management practices.
Yeah.
It pretty much was a very corporate, boring manager meeting where everybody was just sitting around like, yes, in order to raise profits, you must find your employees in a manner to be productive in this regard. We have found out in America, they do this and it works well. In Europe, they do this and it works well. Put these together, we have well. Very
Yeah.
good, you know? So,
Yeah. Hey, can I give a disclosure real quick? So what we're talking about right now with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, it is strictly, we're just giving what it's supposed to have been,
or rather what it was.
What it was. We're not saying that's what they are now. We already know that the World Economic Forum does some fucked up shit. It's pretty much obvious now at this point, and there's a lot of evidence for it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into that stuff here shortly. But
So-
we're really. I just wanted to make sure to say, like, hey, we're not talking about them in a positive way. We're just kind of giving the facts of its birth.
Nor a negative,
all that stuff.
nor a negative way. It's just at the moment we're simply just laying at the groundwork, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you think about WEF, the World Economic Forum, you should also be considering BlackRock as well. These two sort of go hand in hand because they are ungoverned sanctive societies to where large organizations of groups come together in high elite power to make change in the world. That is what the underlying tone of this is, in a nutshell, is that these large ungoverned organizations are making your world what it is today. Maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. That it is up for you to decide. In the early years of it, it was primarily focused on the European issues, but then it quickly expanded to global economic challenges. By 1987, the organization was renamed to the WEF, what we know it today. It started to invite political leaders, academics, and representatives from non-government organizations, or NGOs, as people might know them, broadening its influence beyond the business community. So it strictly was business until it started gaining traction, and then it became political.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna play into it. So the original concept for Schwab's vision of the WEF is really just centered on the idea that it would promote the idea that corporations should serve the interests of their stakeholders, not just shareholders,
Yeah.
right? But also employees, customers, suppliers, and the wider community. The philosophy contrasts with different uh, traditional kind of shareholder concepts, but which prioritize maximizing returns for investors. Blah blah blah. That was what the original thing, his supposedly his original idea was for, right?
Mhm.
That's what was laid out publicly. But we know that that's a little bit different.
So
What
some things
played
that
out.
so before we get too deep into the weeds about the WEF being not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. Oops.
What did
I
you
done broke the
just
cameras. There we go. We're
do?
back, baby. We're back. Um
Wow.
the
I don't know what you clicked.
I pressed 3. Uh
Oh,
the Christ, where was I?
before we get in the weeds.
The WEF has done some actual really good in the world. I will say that. It took about 100 years for the UK to become a first world civilization with industrialization, right? And now we have things like the Five Tigers, is what they refer to them as. South Korea, Indonesia, China, these other organizations like that. I have it pulled up the list of them right here, actually. Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. It took UK about 100 years. It was like things like 96, and now these countries that I just mentioned, the Five Tigers, it took them about 20 years to become industrialized in a first world countries.
Mhm.
So WEF was able to bring together all of the knowledge it has gained from the European mindset that has industrialized that neck of the woods of the world, and now it is able to disperse that knowledge to these other countries and regions of the world. That, in my thought, is is a benefit of having this Davos meetings once a year that they have them. But
Mhm.
there are a lot of cons to it as well, which we will get into momentarily. But
Mhm.
we mustn't forget that it has done good in the past. Unlike its cohort BlackRock, which has done in my mind not mostly evil, mostly bad.
Yeah, I think a lot of the, yeah, no, for sure. And that was the last episode we just did.
That's why I'm referencing it.
Yeah, so really what we're really going to be getting at here is really just divulging into the whole narrative of the Great Reset and you know, uh basic global agendas that are supposedly at play because Schwab has talked about it.
Yeah, but before we get into that, I do want to mention the global leaders that are there, the powerhouse individuals of business and leadership in our world and social media platforms that attend these meetings on a regular basis. That way, we can get an understanding of why it is so important to keep an eye on the WEF and what it wants to do to society as a whole.
Yeah.
Uh, at this moment, as of, I believe this is a 2023 recording, not necessarily of our voices, it's a 2024, that the year you're hearing my voice. But there are heads of state and government officials, presidents, prime ministers, and other high ranking officials in the countries that regularly attend. Names like Angela Merkel, who is a former chancellor of Germany, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, Xi Jinping, the president of China, Donald Trump goes there, which is the president of the United States, or former rather. Uh, there are international organizations like the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. The World Bank frequently goes there. Leaders of the United Nations go there. This is where all of the high-ranking officials go to meet. We have the Goldman Sachs leader, David Solomon, Microsoft leaders, Google leaders. Larry Fink goes there. J.P. Morgan, Jamie and Demon goes there. I'm just naming Apple, Amazon, pharmaceuticals, Johnson and Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna. Uh, the list goes on and on and on. Like they're huge names. It used to just be business owners.
Yeah.
It has exceedingly and rapidly become a location for world change.
Yeah.
I mean, I can keep going if you want me to keep listing it. Elon Musk goes there. Mark Zuckerberg goes there. Bono from U2, who's a frontman and activist for the band
Yeah.
U2. New York Times leaders go there. BBC,
Yeah,
Fox News.
The only stuff I have really to talk about was really that I have notes on is the Great Reset and the global agenda, and then the others,
which is
the
good.
like impact on global policy, corporate governance, and then I have other things of like the stuff that's really kind of referencing into Schwab's books, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which
Mm-hmm.
came out in 2016, and then also I'm not going to say that word, but it's the virus we dealt with during the pandemic, the Great Reset, which came out in 2020. I'm not going to say it because YouTube will
Yell at us.
yell at us. So, yeah. So there's that, and then that's really the stuff I have.
Gotcha.
So
So a few more brief notes about Klaus Schwab before we start jumping into these the quote unquote conspiracies that have been around the WEF and around Klaus Schwab in a whole. Klaus Schwab does hold a PhD in economics. He got it from Switzerland. He has a PhD in engineering. He also got from Zurich. He has a master's of public administration from the JFK School of Government at Harvard. He has a lot of credentials. I do think that he initially wanted something good to come of this, to help people of the world come together in a better manner, in a safer manner, to help globalize the world for the good. But then he got in over his head, and people started getting a hold of him, and he started gaining knowledge that he probably shouldn't have gained knowledge, because there are so many meetings that go on at the WEF that are behind closed doors that they don't publicize for us.
yeah,
My biggest takeaway from the research that I did was the WEF wants to yet again do a greenwashing effect of the world. They want to make everything greener. They want to make everything clean energy, which I think is a good idea in concept, but it has been poorly executed, and it's still being poorly executed. But individuals of leaders of ExxonMobil, Shell, BP, all of these larger groups that are related to oil and gas, why are they attending these meetings if it were to negatively impact their businesses?
yeah.
Is the main thought I have here.
Before I ever like dove into World Economic Forum and these like different meetings and things like that, where like what you were referencing, I this is like from years ago when I was younger and didn't like do my research and like look into different things, right? And basically, I always just assumed at first glance, that they're showing up because they want to know what's about to happen, like what's going to happen to affect us. That was where my brain went, like just kind of like common sense wise, like just instinctually, right? But as I did research and looked into things, I don't believe that's the case anymore.
Me either.
Um, there's too many huge red flags in the things I've researched, and it's like, they're not there because they're wanting to stay up to speed on what's going to impact their business and and everything like that. So it's just like, yeah. But anyways, I digress.
No, yeah, you're perfectly fine. That's the whole point of the show, I suppose. You briefly mentioned the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This is a huge point of contention for Klaus Schwab, and this is where I get to a point of sort of negative in my thought process, because in his studies and in his rhetoric, he uses terms like the Great Reset, which, if anybody out there has done any sort of cursory searching on the internet, has found several iterations of a quote unquote Great Reset that happened in 2016, is what they refer to it as when they refer to it happening as well.
Yeah.
So the thought here is that the WEF, BlackRock, all these large organizations get together to manipulate the economy for a great reset of something. Klaus Schwab has many times referred to yet again, a CBDC, a centralized, a CDBC, centralized digital currency banking. So they activate a reset, scare the populace, and then initiate an action. That is what they have been doing over and over and over again. It's worked several different times, and it is working yet again.
Yeah.
In the Fourth Industrial Revolution, he talks about transhumanism, which Yuri Bezmenov has warned us about. There is a lot of implications in his book about the fourth revolution
Yeah.
that is eye-opening and damning that people should be aware of
Yeah,
if they're not.
And one of the key so like one of the key things about like the fourth industrial revolution is really the narrative in there, because you talked about transhumanism or transcendence of some form, right? Um, there's a whole like if you were to break it down, you have like the technology aspect, and pretty much in that book they're talking about like the fourth industrial revolution would be driven by a range of new technologies, including artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things or IoT, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, nanotechnology, biotechnology, quantum computing, and then like the list just keeps going on. Like you could keep adding more and more things to that, because these are these technologies, which all of them are already out now. They're all like in society right now. We're all using them right now.
Yeah.
And these things, these technologies are rapidly, basically transforming all of the industries across the board globally, which is now creating like basically new opportunities, but then it's also creating huge challenges at the same time, because the integration of artificial intelligence, just that one alone brings a lot of challenges into our world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then don't even get me started on biotechnology, and nanotechnology and quantum computing, because you're going to get me talking about DARPA. Because that
Here we go back to DARPA, baby.
I know, but it's going to make me go into DARPA, because
I know.
there's a whole thing with that.
You mentioned nanobots briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you know, but Japan just declared a state of emergency because 96 million of their residents have found nanobots in their blood.
What the fuck?
Yes. Japan declares state of emergency after nanobots found in 96 million citizens. So let's not forget who is attending these meetings, what the ultimate goal here is. The fourth turning revolution, as what's it actually called? I'm sorry.
The fourth industrial
revolution.
Yeah.
Is the idea of technologically advancing our society, making everything technologically advanced. So they want to have, well, we all know Elon Musk wants to put chips in our brains.
Yeah.
That is one step that they're pushing, which, again, I said transhumanism. That doesn't mean changing your sexes. That means making your human that you are partially robotic.
Yeah.
That's what it refers to.
It would be technology integration.
Correct.
That's
into the
all
human.
that is. Yeah. Into the human brain and body.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he brings it up in the book. That is a huge critique that goes along the lines of it. Their critics have raised concerns about Schwab's discussion of technologies that could alter the human biology, such as gene editing, neurotechnology. The concerns often revolve around the ethical implications of these technologies, including the fear that they could lead to a future where humans are modified or controlled in ways that undermine human dignity. So with that in mind, and then Japan just said, hey, they're in our citizens already. Who's to say they're not in ours as well? We could easily be drinking water bottles that they have. Now I'm getting into like
there was a
real
particular
schizo
shot
mindset
that came out that got forced on people.
Yes, it did.
X-Files had it right first. We all knew the truth. Alien DNA. It's happening right now, folks.
Yeah.
X-Files called it Mulder and Scully. Where's Mulder and Scully when you need them?
Scolder and Mully.
No, Mulder and Scully. Anyways, keep going.
I'm not really too sure on how I feel about all of that. You can get really into a schizo mindset of what are they making you eat, what are they making you drink, and then the Klaus Schwab has been quoted saying, "Oh, you should not have your own personal garden because it promotes greenhouse gases."
He's so full of shit.
Putting a garden in your backyard promotes CO2 and promotes greenhouse gases.
He's so full of shit. No, I hope no one's buying into that bull crap.
And he's trying to make it to where if you have a garden in your house within city limits, that they will fine you.
Yep. The only places that are doing that are fucking socialist and basically communist run states. California.
Ask yourself why they don't want you to grow your own food. Why don't they want to? If they can control what you're eating, they can control what you're drinking. They can put whatever they want into these items and then make you eat it, and now you have whatever they have inside of you. You can't control what kind of dirt it has, what kind of fertilizer it has.
It also makes you dependent on them.
Even more, right?
Yep.
That is why all these huge leaders, Xi Jinping, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, all these individuals are going to these meetings. They're probably being brainwashed by somebody. They're probably being paid by somebody, or they're paying somebody
Elon
to promote.
must have been a proponent for growing your own food.
Yes, he was.
He still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is Mark Zuckerberg. So are these people. They go to these meetings and they probably hear really fucked up shit, and they're like, "Hold on, I still live in America. I can still go say whatever I want." Even though they're trying to change that narrative on us.
This is no different that when the pandemic happened and people spoke out when it first happened, saying this doesn't make any sense. There's something not adding up. And then everyone got censored, shut up, or lives destroyed because they spoke out saying that this isn't making any sense. And also now we know that those people were right. Right? This is no different. They're saying that, growing a garden, having nature, were also the dumbest thing in that statement, that things that he said saying like, it produces more CO2. Yeah, but then it also cleans the air as well. We're getting better oxygen. We're getting a cleaner environment for us as a human being.
Yeah,
it's not negative. That he left out a lot of things, saying like, it produces CO2. It's gonna make the blah blah blah, and these greenhouse gases. No, it regulates itself.
Yeah, plants breathe in CO2.
Yeah, it's and then they fucking exhale oxygen.
Yeah,
Like, no, everything about it. This is no different than what happened in 2020,
Learned that in
where
third
they
grade.
tried to push a narrative and say this is what it is, and then people spoke out, and then you got a huge fucking shit show happened, and then now the truth is out because they've admitted it that those people were right the entire fucking time,
Man.
And this is no different than that. So don't be a fucking idiot, an ostrich, and have your head in the sand and just listen to what fucking Big Brother says, because Big Brother ain't your fucking friend, and he ain't actually your brother. He's a cunt. So anyways.
I got a question for you, and I want your take on it. The WEF live streams and puts out all of their public hearings and meetings in a corporate facilitating meeting in a Davos environment, right? They have all of the public. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on their websites. You can just watch anything they want to talk about. So why is it all of these leaders are going to these meetings? Well, what is the point if they can just sit at home or in their offices or wherever and watch it from their house?
I think it's all surface level, since I don't know what they do there.
Me either.
I think it's more of keeping face.
We should go.
We should fucking go with cameras and record it. I don't know if they allow it. I don't know. But I think they really, on top of my head, it's really just to keep face. That's my instinctual thought, right? Is to keep face, keep relations. Even if you disagree with them and they disagree with you, you still want to maintain a relationship, because everything in this world, don't let the world fool you. Everything in this world is an exchange. Everything. Even your neighbor next door that you're friends with, it's an exchange rate. That's all it is at the heart of it. You may, that doesn't mean you don't care about somebody, but the only reason you care about that person is because there's some form of exchange happening that's driving you to want to care about that person. That exchange could be something as simple as they're giving you their time, and you appreciate people who give you time. So that right there is an exchange, and then how you want to reciprocate that is like giving back whatever. That is a mutual thing, right? And then you become friends with someone, whatever. It's a simple concept as that, but everything's a fucking exchange rate. And then when you get up to those layers, that level, like going to these meetings, things like that, even if you don't agree with them, and like you could have a leader that is opposed to things that the WEF is doing, that leader's still gonna fucking go, because they are gonna still get something. yeah, you may not be about that particular meeting of what they're talking about, but there is something they're still needing. So they're going up there still because there is an exchange that still will happen, just in different categories of their relationship.
And it's on neutral ground. Switzerland is a neutral
Yeah.
playing field, right?
Yeah. So that's where my head goes, is that it's really to keep relations, because they are going to want to get something to some degree, because the WEF controls pretty much everything. You know, controls a lot of things.
I wouldn't say everything, but
Sorry, everything was a reach. I'm just saying they control. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of influence. They
have
do a lot of different things.
incredible influence. Yes.
So it's just like, yeah, you would want to still maintain a relationship, even if you may not agree with them. I could see that that's my first instinctual thought. But at the same time, you know, if there's more to it than that, like I don't really have a thought on it, mainly because one, I've never once been to their meetings,
Me either.
and I've never watched one of their recorded meetings that they
have.
put live. I've never watched it from beginning to end. So personally, I would want to watch one of them, and then also have a joining list, like who went, who attendant list, like
So
who went there, who was a part of the meeting, and that could tell me a lot of different things, or open doors of thought, you know, to kind of like go a certain direction with it, right? So, anyways, that was it.
Watching the live streams or the public videos that they have online from beginning to end, they are very exasperative and masturbatory. They are, we are doing the right thing. We are great. Listen to us. We are good. We are great. We are creating good in the world. We're helping people. Help, help, help. We, us. We're doing great, right? And that goes back to narcissism, as we talked about 2 episodes ago now.
Yeah.
The underlying thing that I believe that all of these large name individuals are going to these WEF meetings is behind closed door meetings. The like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Xi Jinping, the leader of France, president of France, Macron, they're probably going behind closed doors with Larry Fink, who's there, with Klaus Schwab, and having a discussion of what's the next step.
Yeah.
What do we need to push forward now?
Yeah.
And then you have Elon Musk, who's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then you get Donald Trump, who's like, I'm the best in the world. And then you have Xi Jinping, ding dong dong. I don't know what he talks about. I don't follow him very much. But there are a lot of people are very critical about what the WEF has to offer as well in relations to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, because all in all, they're trying to take away your civil rights. I say that in the most alarming sense, because they want to make everything computerized, AI driven, to where you don't have any sort of privacy anymore. The surveillance they want to have, they want to collect all your data, sell it. They have blatantly said that out loud. They have blatantly said that they want to use AI to gather it, and they have got together with Charles Schwab and all these other big individuals of Fidelity to gather your currency and how much money you have, and all these different things as well, to promote and push things onto you.
Yeah, it makes me want to just jump right into the whole narrative of like reducing the population, multiple pandemics, like that whole.
Do you think they
deal.
put up the guidestones?
I have no fucking idea. I got no idea. But I will say this. I won't really want to dive into it, since we're kind of like already moving that way, and since we're already moving that way and stuff. So basically, I want to talk about the population reduction and control, that narrative, because there's a lot of things circulating around online where Schwab has advocated in his books for like population reduction.
Did he really? I didn't see this.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said advocating. That's my fault. He brings up people like a reduction of the population due to multiple pandemics. And then basically the concept is by 2050, there's going to be so many more pandemics. Remember I was telling you about the other day, 4 on 4 off, 4 on 4 off.
Yeah.
And then leading up to 2050, by that point, it would be half the population would be a mixture of half the population would be Japanese and Chinese, and then the rest of the population would be everybody else. You know, narrative. So we would have a massive loss of every other ethnicity.
And they push this agenda of deterministic mindset, right? That which, if you don't know what determinism is relating to the philosophical doctrine that all events, including human actions, are ultimately determined by like the will of humans, right?
Yeah. So like in the book that he released, the virus that we all went through. Sorry, I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't want us to get flagged again and then our stuff get taken away. But basically, it's the virus from 2020, the Great Reset. So I'm just going to call this book The Great Reset because it's in the title. In The Great Reset, Schwab talks about the need for systemic changes to prevent future crises. And then, basically there's an idea of the population decreasing, and that is really more about managing like resources and for ensuring like sustainable development, rather than endorsing any like forced reduction of human norm.
Oh, because
numbers,
if
right?
anyone's paying attention to what's happening in our global economy around food and water, we are running very low on drinkable water. I know that seems like a absurd statement, and people laugh at that concept because there's water everywhere, right? But to desalinate water and to purify drinkable water
Musk
is very
has
difficult.
talked about desalination.
It's
and
so
how
hard.
it's actually quite simple.
No, it's not.
He lays it out.
I know,
and
but
then I looked it up. He's not wrong. Overall, he's not wrong. Like I was reading up on like what would be needed. Like for instance, he even laid out how you could power massive areas if you were to quadrant off one state and just put, like a chunk of a state and put nothing but solar panels. And he was like, went into the whole thing. He's like, based on the numbers, he's like, we could generate enough power right there to basically power like several massive metroplexes.
they might have done new research or new
it's
technology
the stuff
or something.
with
but
his technology, the stuff that they're working on developing. He was like, no, we already know that we could. He's like, but it's getting the land that's the problem.
I see.
Because you would have to have like a quadrant off one area. Don't let anyone live there because it's only solar panels like every 2 fucking foot. He's like, that would literally, it would be clean energy.
Speaking of the solar panels, did you see the company that's trying to sell sunlight at any time of day?
The fuck?
So there's this new startup company that is putting satellites into orbit that you can buy sunlight directed to your location. So they're putting like giant mirrors in the
Get
sky
the fuck
that they can reflect sunlight to a location.
What, are you gonna light up the whole goddamn town?
They want to use it to power solar facilities. And if you want sunlight for something going on at 2 a.m, they can do that.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Fuck that. Dude, if I swear to God, if someone turns on a fucking flashlight like that while I'm sleeping and it lights up my fucking room.
Well, dude, all hell's coming out, brother. You better watch out. I'm bringing to people's elbow.
Bro, guns are going off. Why, hell no,
You're
motherfucker.
gonna shoot this guy?
Yeah, I'm going to be shooting. I'm like, hit the light, sweetie. It's right there. Man, my little AR is not making it there. Get out the Barrett. We got to get that 50 cal on there.
Who got the RPG?
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Have you seen those videos of people with RPGs and they are recklessly using them? There's a video of a guy who's shooting into the sky at a celebration of like a wedding, and it's the dumbest shit in the world.
It's the dumbest shit in the world.
What goes up must
Sounds
come
like a
down,
great
right?
Well, there we go. It worked that time. As long as you don't see where it falls down, like it's kind of like the whole concept of like a closed door is a happy door. As long as the door's shut.
Closed doors are happy.
That's what I say all the time. Like, especially at work, I'll go and shut the door to our department, and then they're like, "Oh, why are you shutting the door?" And I'm like, "Closed door is a happy door." Because no one's in here now. Like,
Now they don't know what's happening.
Now they don't know what's happening. Same concept. I don't see where it's falling to. I'm content.
See,
You know?
my saying is, if the door is closed, I'm jorking my bone, dude. Like,
Oh, dude. But so in the Great Reset, it talks about multiple pandemics and global crises. Schwab emphasized that the pandemic virus we just went through is not likely to be the last global crisis we face. And he suggests that in an increasingly interconnected world, pandemics, environmental disasters, and other global challenges may become more frequent. So, like, I saw like a whole snippet from the book talking about how like we're gonna have these pandemics like basically every 4 to 5 years, over and over like clockwork, up until basically 2050, where by that point things will even out. And all of a sudden, miraculously, these pandemics are gonna like fade off at 2050. That's convenient.
that's frightening.
Well, that's all he says in the book. There's like there's a whole paragraph, and I read it and I was just like, what? I was like, so what happened? Wait. So pandemics just disappear after 2050? Sounds like that's orchestrated, if you ask me.
I'd say so.
How would it just? What, nature's just gonna tucker out in 40 years, 30 years, 20 years? It's like, I'm done being nature. I'm just gonna go to sleep now for about 30 years. What? Doesn't make any fucking sense. That's not how that shit works.
No.
It's never how it works. And and in that same thing talks about the population decreasing and people dying and all this crap. And then all of a sudden, and then in the last little part of that thing talks about how like at the end of it in 2050 we'll have reduced the population by like whatever billion people.
It says some things like we will lower it, or that it will become lowered.
Yeah, it says it will.
I got you. Okay.
But the way it's worded when you read it, the way that things don't really add up, like the whole Mother Nature just taking a break for a while. That's fucking convenient. How would you know that? Unless this isn't Mother Nature at all, and it's something that's being orchestrated, like manually done. That's all that like makes sense, because the way it's worded, like, doesn't make any sense.
Man.
So it's just like, and at the end of it, this little like paragraph in it, basically, it's being said that by 2050, like all these, half the population will literally only be Japanese and Chinese.
Whoa, they said that in the book?
Yeah, it literally says it in the book. It
Whoa,
literally says
what?
it. And then the other half would be all the other ethnicities. And it's just like, and then you brought up the whole nanobots in the civilians in Japan right now.
Yeah.
That may be for a reason. Like, maybe they're not, maybe that's not a negative thing. It's actually keeping them alive. Like improving their bodies, like improving their, like repairing their red blood cells, repairing their white blood cells, things like that. Who knows what it's capable of doing? I have no idea.
I wonder if you can get tested. Like, how do they test these people for nanobots? Can I get tested?
I think that we need to take our sample of our own blood and put it under a microscope, dude. Oh shit, that's AIDS.
Like, oh fuck, that's not a nanobot.
I'm suing this company. I wasn't wanting to know about STDs. I was looking for nanobots. Like, oh shit.
How dare you tell me about my body, on my own terms, with my own blood, on my own body? How dare you?
You look at it under a microscope, it's like, why does my DNA look like that? And then you see average Joe's DNA, it's like, that looks like the DNA I've seen in the textbooks.
Mine's not helixed, it's flat.
Yeah, mine's like, it's sprouting into like a tree form, and it's like, you find out, like, you're just like, is that alien DNA?
Oh, I'm an X-Man.
I carry the mutant gene. Really, it's more, watch it be just my body fighting off some recessed genetic ginger gene. And it's like, oh, it's mutating my shit, but my body's working, my genetics are working just enough to,
brother,
like,
I had some mutated shit this morning, brother. I'll tell you what.
Dude, you made my bathroom smell like rotten eggs, dude. I left that fan on. You're welcome. Leave the fan on, Evan. That fan wasn't on. I walked in, I was like, hot damn.
It's spicy.
Dude, I smelled it before I even went into the bathroom. It was in the hallway. I was like, at first I thought it was a dog took a shit or farted.
Just me.
No, I was just like, that's a man.
I gotta go to the doctor.
That's man ass, bro. Oh, dude, my poo has been stinking rancid for like the past 6 months.
I'm feeling giggly today, dude. I got the giggles. The whiff makes me laugh.
The whiff. Dude, I took a whiff of that fucking rotten eggs, and that made me go,
The
chuckle.
fuck was that?
I don't know, but it was someone else because everyone knows I don't talk like that. That's not my voice.
What do you mean? So everybody, always
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Gojira.
That's my talent. I can move my lips and still talk at the same time. Yeah, no shit, Evan.
I think I broke my face. Anyways, moving on. So, basically, I want to touch on the destruction of the current.
Why is the camera on me?
Because you were a beautiful face.
I'm laughing over here.
Destruction of the current economic system. So the Great Reset, which is proposed by Schwab, involves rethinking our economic system and moving towards what he calls stakeholder capitalism. He wants to move, which is everything about the whole concept of state. Now, don't confuse that with capitalism. It's not capitalism like traditional capitalism. It is stakeholder capitalism.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, where this approach it basically challenges the traditional focus on shareholder profits.
You're saying stakeholder, not stakeholder?
No, stakeholder
Gotcha.
capitalism. Where the focus on shareholder profits instead of advocating for a system that considers the broader impact of society, which is so full of shit. Because if you look into what stakeholder capitalism is, and you look at the stuff that the WEF is actually doing and what the results bear of it in modern times right now across different fucking areas, I hope everyone's opposed to stakeholder capitalism, because what it really is a Trojan horse to give one entity total power. Hence the Great fucking Reset.
One world order yet again. Here we go.
Yeah, it's like to modify, so everyone talks about the New World Order, blah, 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 and then they mix it up with the One World Order. No. Those are two very different things. The New World Order was something that I personally think already happened, and it happened when the Federal Reserve was founded, and then they took over and the credit system was put in place. That was the New World Order because they controlled everything. They still do. I think this is more of a re-modification of the New World Order in transitioning it into a one world, ruler, essentially, one world entity. Governance body.
So there are four.
It's moving it more into the public and overt presence instead of it being something that's you only hear the name of it. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about stakeholder capitalism for a moment. There's four pillars of it: people, planet, prosperity, and principles of governance. How does this have to do with capitalism? Like,
they wanted to keep that in there because, one, it sways the public, right? So, like, if you're someone who supports capitalism, like myself, I support capitalism. I know some listeners don't like that, but you have a misinterpretation of what capitalism is, mainly because it gets misconstrued because people take advantage. No matter what, it doesn't matter what economic structure you have in place, people are going to take advantage of it, and people are going to get oppressed. The biggest one is socialism. Communism. No, like the traditional platform of capitalism, free market is honestly one of so far is the best structure. Does it have flaws? Yes, but it's the best structure we have in place. Stakeholder capitalism, it's doing is taking the word capitalism, throwing it in there to get people to think it's a good thing who are pro-capitalism, because a chunk of people are. But really, ultimately, what it looks like to me, how it diverts into, is really it has nothing to do with capitalism.
It's corporate.
It has make the world a corporation.
Corporate capitalism is what it is.
Yeah, it's make the world a corporation. One entity, one corporate mind. That's all it tells me. It's like, okay, that's not capitalism. That is that's just straight up dominance. It's controlling everything.
So some of the key takeaways for the people metric of the stakeholder capitalism that the WEF and Klaus Schwab, with the help of Peter Van Ham, are trying to initiate is diversity and inclusion, DEI, if you will.
Yeah. Companies are kicking that out right now, finally.
Yeah.
Thank fucking God.
Pay equality, human rights reviewing, grievance and impact on modern slavery, freedom and association of collective bargaining. Uh, of course, they have the child labor one. They're trying to include child laboring. Paying a living wage, just a percentile of taxes toward people. There's some planet ones, the greenhouse gas emissions, more greenwashing, fresh water consumption and the withdrawal of it,
Mm-hmm.
task force and climate-related financial disclosures, how to fight air pollution, land use and ecology sensitivity, that's for the planet, prosperity. You have absolute number and rate of employment, infrastructure investments, economic contributions. It's pretty much they're just trying to turn our shit into a corporation, our world.
Yeah.
They're trying to set a purpose for rationality, purpose-led management for governing.
Sounds like censorship to me. You can't
Governance-
think a certain way, can't talk a certain way. You have to be this certain way. Hello, we're in a stakeholder capitalism here. This is all fucking corporate machine. Can you imagine? And think about it like this. Everyone here, anyone who's listening right now, I'm sure there's blue collar people listening. I'm sure there's white collar people who are listening to this, potentially. And I can tell you right now, think about when you're at work. Think about when you're at work, working for the corporate company you do, and you know of the bullshit that goes on, and you have to sit there and shut your fucking mouth when you know there's a dirty ass fucking manager.
Mhm.
You know you have to talk a particular way, even though you're being a realist and just calling it out for what it is, right? You have to sit there and be quiet because you know if you speak up, you're going to lose your fucking job. Imagine that, but not the company you work for. Imagine that every moment of your fucking life, every fucking moment, and that company you work for is actually one company now. It's just the world because it's now under that type of platform. That's what they're pushing for. That's all that is. Can you imagine anything you do? Anything. Like you could be in the privacy of your home and talking. Oh, they just heard a recording of you saying X, Y, or Z. Something you just maybe you disagree with something. You're not being racist. You're not being insufferable of people's differences, things like that. No, you just disagreed with maybe a concept, but that goes against what they want and what they have as a rule. Boom. Now all of a sudden you just lost your house.
Mm-hmm.
You just got removed from that. Now you just got penalized, fined, all that crap. This is, to me, all I see is this is just an umbrella for trying to block out their fucked up version of a sun and keep you pretty much, keep that umbrella between you and what they don't want you to see what the sun actually looks like. They want you to keep it under this where you're stuck in this like shade that they're putting down to where you are literally no longer an individual. You're no longer free in any capacity. That's all it tells me. That's all I get from it when I've read everything about it. That's all that I see.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more and more you read into it and the details you go through, it's like this is literally just making one world dictatorship. That's all it is. That's all I see. And it's because of all, it's not the big things, the statements that they lay out. It's what's in between the lines. It's the little details that they try to like kind of push off to the side. Like, oh, don't pay attention to that. That doesn't exist. It's like, bitch, you just said this and this, which kind of contradict each other, blah, blah, blah. No, that's all I take from it. It's basically like making it to where when you work for a corporate company, they want to impose that across the rest of your life, the entire world. I mean, look what's happening in the UK right now. Or not UK. What was the
London,
country?
UK, yeah.
Yeah, with them arresting their citizens for posting on social media their opinion. Or just sharing the riots and the crazy shit going on with the people coming in, the migrants coming in, and like all the riots and the, people dying and the cities being destroyed, all that crap. People are posting videos of it. They were like, oh my God, the world needs to know what's happening here. Those people have been arrested.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're literally in jail right now.
It's happening in New York as well. In our country.
Yeah, bunch of bullshit, bunch of left. It's funny. It's always happening in these liberal run places. That's where it's happening. Like, fuck liberalism. No, dude. I'm so tired of playing this dog and pony show game with everyone every single day. I'm allowed to tell you you're fucking retarded.
Yeah, I agree with
Like
that.
you have been either brainwashed or you are just too dumb to understand anything. Like the idea of yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop myself. I'm gonna stop myself. I'm gonna
We
move
got
on
into
from
that
that.
last episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It ended up popping up on me. But about the Great Reset and all that stuff.
Please get away from it.
Get away from it. Other than multiple pandemics, the whole destruction of the current economic system, right? We were just touching on that. So, a lot of people, a good chunk of people are, from what I've researched, um, a good chunk of people are interpreting it as, oh, this is everything you're laying out is just to destroy the current economic system, and
Yeah.
for good fucking reason. And because that's where I went too, because when you read it, dude, common sense is still common fucking sense. When you look at stuff, you don't have to have a PhD in bullshit to see bullshit, to be able to identify it. And a good chunk of people identified bullshit back in 2020. And of course, we all saw how that played out.
They've done this before already. At the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. In fact, it was July 1st to July 22nd of 1944. It was a gathering of 44 nations that met in New Hampshire to agree upon a series of new rules for the post-World War II international monetary system. So these companies, I think I've said it before, are pushing for a war. They're
Yeah.
pushing for battles. They're pushing for the Fabian theory to come into fruition in reality. They want this to happen so that they can make us more dependent on them and get rid of our monetary system to then create a new one. The CDBC, Centralized Digital Banking Commission, whatever the fuck it is. So that we, yet again, become dependent, and now we have to completely reset our economy, completely reset everything so that they can make more money, take away our gold, take away our silver, take away our belongings. So that we need help to feed ourselves, need help to clothe and everything of that nature. So keep your head on a swivel, because they have done this before to us, and they are hoping that we have forgotten. It is called the Bretton Woods Conference. So
Yeah. Oh, hey, sorry, keep
no,
going.
you're fine. Go ahead.
This is really just jumping back to the whole population reduction and control. So I skipped past like chunks of stuff because we were kind of hopping around. But one of the reasons that why there's the whole conspiracy aspect of everything with this, and which I don't really when I say conspiracy, I'm not meaning conspiracy as in like the stigma of the term, where when you hear conspiracy, people instinctually go, oh, they're a conspiracy theorist and blah blah blah, and like put this negative annotation on it, right? No, like this is just like the whole point of saying the word conspiracy is because that means to conspire. That means something's conspiring against you, as in the greater populace, right? So one of the things, and I made sure to make a note of it, why I believe that the whole concept of population reduction, right? And they talk about that. It's because they use the particular phrase population control over and over. So Schwab does.
Yes, he does.
It's like, why the fuck are you terming it that way? Why are you calling it population control? The definition of those two words together would now encompass the narrative of, okay, population control. It means you're trying to control the population. You're trying to control the numbers of where we're at, the works. So yeah, so when it comes to when he talks about the population reduction, and all that fun stuff, the fact that he keeps using the word population control, like that paragraph I was telling you about, they use the word population control in there like 3 times. And it's like, how is no one else fucking seeing that? Like a red flag with that.
They've been pushing the stereotype of overpopulation and population reduction for the past decade, as far as I'm concerned. Ever since I was in high school as a young man, they were talking about it in my environmental science class, that there are too many people and that people need to stop being born, and that they need to stop having so many people pushed into the world. China's has a huge fall in population reduction over the past decade or so. Um, there are dozens of countries with shrinking population. The United Nations predicts it by 2050 there will be a significant decrease in population. So either they're planning something or they know something we don't know, or
Yeah.
both. Who the
Yeah,
fuck
or
knows?
both. And and the fact that he even says in his books, saying that with population control things have become more manageable.
Mm-hmm.
He says that. And it's like, and when he says manageable, he's that has to do with like the resource management and sustainability. And and then that just tells me it's like, okay, so that's his way of wording things so things could be justified of why people were killed, why people were removed, and why numbers were massively decreased. That's all that pops into my head when I read this shit. It's like, why would you word it this way, unless you were meaning it that way? There's words are powerful.
They mean things.
They do, and don't get me wrong, people can misuse words all the time. We see it every day in the media and stuff, and in posts online, with everyone. People like for some reason use a word. It's like, do you not know what the definition of that word is? Because words have definitions for a reason. If you use that word, that's what it fucking means. And Schwab is a very educated man. He's not missaying anything. He speaks for a reason and for a purpose. So when he chooses to say X, Y, and Z, or for instance, the whole population control and more manageable in the same fucking sentence, the definitions of those words have never fucking changed. That only means one thing, and that's where my brain goes. It's like, okay, if you're not trying to say that, what are you really trying to say? Maybe you should reword what you're saying, but he doesn't. He keeps doubling down on it. That's all he says.
At least he's not saying depopulation. Trying to stop
shit.
popularizing. So,
and then like like for instance, the just to add into the population control and all that, and manageable stuff. There's also mentions of, in his books, he talks about sterilization, birth restrictions, things like that. That is mentioned in there. And the sterilization part is talking about like up to the 2050 thing. And it's like, what's happening right now that are happening to the people all over the world that are being allowed and told that if you don't feel like you're in the right body, go through this process, and now you're sterilized, because that's one of the side effects. You become completely sterile. You can never have kids. If you're a woman, you literally can never bear a child. If you're a man, you can never get someone pregnant. You become completely sterile. And I think it's really convenient that that's going on in such high influx, and it was pushed. Even when there's doctors who are widely educated, who are top of their field, have spoken out against it, saying like, you're allowing people to mutilate their bodies, and you're allowing children, to happen to children too. That should not be allowed. That is so wrong. And what happens to those people? They're losing their practice. They're losing their license for being actual advocates against allowing that happening to kids. That's a real thing that's happening right now. So it just plays into that, because that's what's leading up. It's 2024 right now.
In 2020, they had a meeting about population growth, and there was a individual there, Jane Goodall. You all might know that name because of her research in chimpanzees and primates. She is a primatologist and a zoologist who, in the 2020 Davos meeting with the WEF, talked about how 500 years ago we would not have a problem with climate because of the population size. And people read into that and sort of jumped to a conclusion that she was advocating for a lower population and depopulation as well. I, for one, think that there are way too many people.
There's a lot of people.
Going to the grocery store on a Saturday here in Texas is like going to a fucking Taylor Swift concert. There are way too many people. Could we use with less people? Yeah. Is there probably a better way about doing it? I would imagine so, than creating a pandemic to just forcefully kill people. But that's just my take. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm in fact uneducated. I'm here to become more educated, but I don't know. There's too many people. That's fact.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
Running out of food, running out of water.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I will say this though, on when it comes to because I have some of my stuff here for kind of like my takeaways on certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and
How long have we been going for anyway?
not even an hour
Tight.
or about an hour even. Um, yeah, I'm almost done with all my stuff.
I'm pretty much done with mine
Yeah,
as well,
I mean we're gonna have to come back to it at some point
as we
here
always
soon.
do.
But basically, one of my takeaways is that whenever I see uh the label of the label of like progressive or sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
everything from all the research I've been doing and reading, and then of course getting my hands on certain documents that are like redacted, that were declassified, connecting to all these other people. It's just like it really points like there's a hidden agenda aimed at basically taking away personal freedoms and overall, like, basically, I guess the right wording for it would be like national sovereignty, right? Um, it just really that whole thing kind of like with the World Economics Forum push for global cooperation is not necessarily like a like a step to address challenges, but more of a strategy to create a new world order where power is more it's concentrated into a few hands instead of in the power of everyone,
Mm-hmm.
several hands. And that right there, that was kind of my takeaway, and it bothers the fuck out of me because like when I read about everything and I read this stuff, I'm seeing between the lines on a few ones because there's red flags that indicate it. There's details in there, and I can't help but my brain to go there because that's what it looks like overall from everything we've seen and what we've lived through in our time frame, and seeing that it's just like I can't help but go there, you know, and then with that being said, um, you know, I don't, when Klaus Schwab, how he's like proposing his forward-thinking solutions to global challenges, um, I feel like he's more of like he comes off across to me more of like a figurehead for like globalist, like cabal,
Yes,
like
100%.
seeking shit to like reshape the world, um, in
Again,
his own freaking image
yeah,
or their own
I
image.
started this with the idea that it wasn't meant for that to begin with because
Yeah.
it was meant to make people's corporations and businesses run better and more profitable. And then I believe he got in over his head and got bought by some people because he was just some PhD doctorate holder who was really good at economy and engineering.
I think his opinion just changed.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he just I don't even think he got over in his head. I think he just changed his mind. And I think there was enough people like-minded around him who wanted the same thing. And then boom, here
Well,
we are.
oftentimes if you find yourself around global leaders who are trying to enact a sort of environment, or CEOs or individuals who have their own viewpoints and what they want to do with society and with their companies and their countries now at this point, you begin to get manipulated by them, and now he probably believes it and is living it, and he has gone to that side and has changed his viewpoints.
Yeah.
The I use the term "in over his head" because I imagine that that was not his intent, and now he has all these global leaders here. And he's like, "Fuck, I kind of,"
Yeah.
and now he believes it, right?
Yeah. And
He's worth $25 million. He's not the wealthiest man in the room.
yeah. And the just what I was just saying, which plays into it goes hand in hand, right? What you were saying and what I was saying just prior to that, it's because I had said the whole, I said that, reshape the world in his image type thing, right? Or their image, not just his, their. Um, Honestly, there's so many things that pop off red flags that look more of like a broader plan to basically centralize power, reduce global population,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically introduce or implement whatever word you want to put there, some form of like technological or governance of some form, you know, where the general population has very little say in anything going forward into the future.
And that's
You're
why
just stuck.
That's why we here at the independent media groups are trying to bring this stuff to the light, because a lot of it's not truly spoken about. I mean, you can go on YouTube right now and type in "Who is the WEF? What is the WEF?" and there's only truly about 5-6 videos that people breaking down what it's doing and
Yeah.
the impact that it could have socially and globally. So
Yeah.
I find it vitally important that people are understanding what the World Economic Forum truly is, and what it has become. It has become a meeting of powerhouse global leaders to create one overall ideal. Make every country a first world country besides the slave countries, and then have everything documented, and looked
Yeah.
over in a technological mindset. They're trying to do it, and they're doing it. They're
Yeah.
going to do it.
And, like going over those books, The Great Reset
Mhm.
and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, I'm not gonna lie, man. I can't help but instinctually, like after like going through them and doing other research outside of those books on Klaus and the World Economic Forum and the things that they've done over the past 20 years, 24 years, 25 years. Dude, like after going through those two books, after all the other research too, it it kind of comes off more of like my brain translates it. It's like this almost looks like a manifesto for like global takeover.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and it sucks when we sit here, we talk about it. But what the fuck are we supposed to do about it? Nothing.
Talk about it.
See, this is what frustrates me a lot of the time. We talk about these things like, oh, hey, the more information is out there, let people know, blah, blah, blah. Like, have an open mind, be objective with what's happening around you. Always be objective, always question everything. That's how you get to the truth of things. Sometimes I find myself kind of like in a stuck loop. I feel like a script, like a Python script, where I did if, then, else, blah, 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 and set up this looping pattern. I feel like that's a lot of the time because it's just this, we sit here, we talk about it, and nothing ever changes. Nothing ever comes of it, right? When I say nothing ever comes of it, I'm talking about nothing ever comes of something, something happening, like some type of change to where we could deter these potential bad things from happening. Because it sucks because it seems like the majority of people who are seeing these things and picking up all these negative things. I'm not even just talking about WEF or the World Economic Forum or in particular. I'm talking about all the things we've talked about on this podcast that we know is a fact. Everything from the MK Ultra project to what it's become now, and under a new name, it's just still going on. They just changed tactics. All the way to Project Delta, Project Pandora, Skull and Bones. We sit here and it's just like this loop.
Yeah, I know. It's
because where is there going to be a point where we can actually put our own chess piece onto the board to make a tactical move? Because we sit here and we talk and we talk and we talk about it. We share the information and other people do the same thing. There's other platforms out there of just average Joe people doing this shit. And it's just like, when the fuck are we going to stop having to be in the loop? Because this is just a loop. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to go to bed. You're going to go to bed. We're going to wake up, rinse and repeat process, go to work, take care, focus on our families. But where's the advocacy? Where's the hard stance, like plant like a tree object out there that could somehow get brought into our lives as a way to stop these things? I don't even know how it's even possible. So it's like I always feel like I'm stuck in this loop on and off. I try to like push past it because if you start buying into the concept of like, oh, I'm stuck in a loop, and you get that narrative in your head, you can get really stuck in it because then you stop caring about shit because it's like, well, there's nothing I can do, so I move on. Well, no, like if you allow yourself to get to that point, then yeah, like you're allowing everything to happen. I mean, I'd rather be defiant. I'd rather stand on my own 2 feet and get shot in the head than to be stuck sitting on my knees looking down at the ground. I'd rather look at that gun when it gets shot in my face. You know, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet when I die. I'm not going to fucking lay down like a dog. You know, that's inherently deep down, that's my brain. I don't, I will never conform. I keep fighting. But at the same time, it's like, I also know deep down it's an endless fight. It's like, where's the resolve? When is there going to be a resolve? Something that to stop it all. I don't know if that ever will exist. I have no idea. I really don't know, because like, it doesn't matter what president we get in. Like, yeah, we may have a president that we have a better economy under or whatever. Great. But I'm talking about the big picture here, like shit like this. Like, whereas, having a different president doesn't matter how much you like the president or not. He's not going to have any fucking change in that.
Ultimately, right?
Ultimately, yeah. We already know that the president's basically a puppet,
Mm-hmm.
And other people are really calling the shots. So it's just like, I don't know, man. That loop, I hate that loop, because then it's just like, it's like when you recognize that you're in a loop, it's like you're almost allowing yourself to get beaten, like to lose. Like, you're letting yourself defeat yourself in the fight, in this whole tug of war of life. And so, like, I'm doing my best to never allow myself to get stuck and stay in the loop. But I do recognize when the loop happens. And this is one of those moments, because this has severe impacts, like everything with what we're talking about. And that's what bothers me, because it's like, what can I even do to change it? There's not a whole lot. Like, I don't even know how I would change it. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I struggle with that as well. We have all this information, all this data that we have accumulated in all this history that we've gained, all this knowledge of corruption and infiltrating into governments around the world and manipulation. What is an average individual to do but to sit back and watch?
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can battle it non-aggressively and non-violently? Is there a way that we can gather like-minded individuals who then we can put on a podium to then put in the office to then perhaps maybe make some sort of small change? Is it an independent leader we need? I'm not sure either. I don't know. I don't have the answer.
I know that deep down, like, if you look at history of like when change really needed to be happening, and everyone knew that the big people in charge did not have their better interests, the Civil War would happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if this is the world, we're talking about the entire world. Oh, what, you're gonna have a civil war across the entire world? Like, no.
Yeah, it's called World War III, man.
Well, no. I'm saying that if let's say the country, like the governments of the world, are all working in unison, technically, potentially, in the background, right? Because they're all going to these WEF meetings, and this is just a narrative, right? I'm not saying this is what every government is doing this. But I'm saying, like, if the common average government across the board, the entire world, and they're all like getting behind this program because they're the ones who really, like, there's certain shadow figures that pull the strings in these governments, kind of like how our president doesn't know shit. Any president we have, if that was the case, we'd have already gotten our JFK files.
Oh yeah.
No, it's because someone else pulls the strings.
They keep redacting it every 60 years or whatever it is.
It's because we already know it was inside job. It's common knowledge at this point. But the thing is that, like, yeah, they're not going to release it. If the president was as powerful as people like to think the president is, the president should be able to pull that. He's the commander in chief. When really the truth is that he's just a puppet like everybody else. He doesn't have access. There's other people who pull the strings, and that's probably the same for every fucking government across the board. Literally. I mean, look at the world, and you look at these other countries, all these other superpowers. It's the same. Someone else pulls the strings.
That's why I think it's important to do episodes upon these superpower corporate entities like the WEF, like BlackRock, like Vanguard. And then Yuri Bezmenov, the opposite, who's somebody who's trying to bring attention to it, but nobody listens. I think that's a very important thing to bring up in society, so that people are able to make their own opinion and make their own leaders and put them on pedestals and raise them up.
Yeah.
If there is any chance of some sort of change, it's going to come from within. It's going to come from a small standpoint at first.
Yeah.
It'll be a grassroots effect. It's not going to be a direct change. It'll be somebody who is able to withstand the power and manipulation and money that comes from these large corporate entities.
Yeah, and and just to play into that, and then which inadvertently I'm basically finishing what I was getting at. Like the whole Civil War concept, right? Like across the world, if every governing body of every country had other people who are really pulling the strings, well then World War III wouldn't even be a thing, because I'm not saying World War III wouldn't be a thing for other reasons. I'm saying for this particular narrative of like everyone rising up against this potential one main power, right? Or the idea of that going into place, the governments would not be supporting their citizens because the government is wanting it to happen, right? If there's puppeteering going on. So it's like, okay, yeah, the citizens rise up in the United States. Half the citizens rise up in another country, another country, another country. But it's not like we all have military. We don't have a military force.
With militia?
I know, but I'm making the point, though, is that the governments of these nations aren't fighting against this other country. It's more of the citizens are not happy, but we don't have the tools and assets because the government's not on our side, right? Across these different countries. So how would that even work? I don't see that being a plausible thing even playing out. Like a
Civil War
uprising where all the citizens of every nation fight against their governments. Yeah, that would never happen because one, that would require us to actually know what the fuck we're doing
and have some balls
and actually have interconnections across overseas, which I'm not going to know Billy over there in England. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be of no relevance because I'm going to be in a predicament of my own here. And it's just going to fit. It would never work. It would never happen in that way. You know what I mean? I just, anyways, sorry. I lost my thought.
I think it's like the movie District 9, right? The government was the overruling dictator, military complex individual of keeping everybody in their line with their respective robot partner.
District 9.
Yeah, it's a movie where they
talking about the aliens?
No, it was about
District 9's with the aliens.
It was with the robots. District 9, I think it was robots.
You mean Elysium?
No, that's aliens.
No. District 9 is aliens, where they look like crickets. Walking, talking crickets.
Yeah.
This 9 was dope, though.
Yes,
dope.
Yeah, walking, talking aliens. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I think I was thinking of
Elysium. Chappie's one, and then there's Elysium.
Yeah,
where that's very similar build to District 9, but there's no aliens. It's about like people can't, anyways, I'm not gonna get into it.
Fighting back against the oppression of the overlord government. I think that I hope that doesn't come to that. Personally, I don't. I think I like to think I'm a white-pilled individual where there is hope, things will get better, but I don't want people to have to suffer and die for a change to happen in the world.
Yeah, I'm at the position now.
Straight up black-pilled, everything's fucked.
I'm at the position now where I've come to terms. Or it's not fully come to terms. It's more of I've accepted the idea and the facts that there are entities in this world that we have no control over what they do. And they have technologies that are far beyond what we even know exist.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've come to terms with that. I accept it. In that regard. Like, I've come to terms in that way. But when it comes to terms as in, I'm just accepting that that is a fact. That's all I've come to terms with. Outside of that, when it comes to, I've accepted it, I'm just going to keep living my life, as long as I can and just go through the numbers. No, I don't accept that. I still have that fight in me. I'm still opposing heavily, to that other, that narrative of like being submissive, right? And conform. I will never do it. It's not in my DNA, dude. I can't conform like that, on that kind of scale. So it's like, yeah, I accept that it's a fact that they do have technology that's beyond what we know about.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I accept the fact that they have power that beyond what we can even conceive, but I still oppose it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'll ever come to terms with that opposition in there. So it'll always be something that bothers me the rest of my life, however long I have left to live. You know what I mean? Like, it's still always going to bother me, and I'm still always going to oppose it as long as I can. But that doesn't mean I'm going to make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, I think just me as an individual, I'll always be in the opposition of it.
Well, you know, I like to think that our platform that we have here, as small as it may be, is
Mhm.
able to enact some sort of difference through the enlightenment of just understanding how things seem to run. I people who listen to it in my regular life, shout out to all my e-heads, uh,
Mhm.
they tend to say that there is an underlying factor that we always skirt around, and that is how can we change things, right? How are we able to enact a difference?
Mhm.
And I think a voice has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Putting out the agenda that there is a lot of things that are wrong with our world and that it needs to be seen, brought to light, and then changed.
Yeah.
Much like, as you mentioned earlier, the stakeholder capitalism. Don't let that fool you. Like we talked about last episode, the price hike in groceries, the minimum price of groceries. Don't fall for their schemes. Like pay attention.
Yeah.
You need to learn for yourself. A lot of people don't want to have to think, and that's okay for those people. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of us out here in America and the world that don't want to fall for some sort of overworld oppression and be cast away to caves and shacks to live the rest of their life in VR and use cryptocurrency to buy their food and groceries and no longer own firearms. A lot of people don't want that.
Yeah.
And I hope that the generation after us is able to take a note from the millennials who are right now being like, hey, heads up. They didn't tell us about it whenever we were growing up, but we're telling you about it now because it is fucked up. It's bad.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. And and just to close this thing out, um, if you're a family person, like you have kids, wife, or maybe you're, oh, sorry, or maybe you're, sorry, I hit my volume thing, so all of a sudden I couldn't hear myself anymore. Um, so basically, like if you're a family person and you have kids, and you're like, let's say you have a husband, your wife has a husband, or husband has a wife, whatever your role is. The only thing I can think of that would be practical for someone of our average Joe position in life would be how you shape your kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only that's the only thing you can really do that's productive in this grand scheme of everything we just talked about, right? Because if you can raise your children to have the right mind, you know what I mean? Be intelligent, common sense, be realistic, be down to earth, um, and raise them in that fashion, and don't let them be completely consumed and integrated into the modern society, which is everybody's got a phone in their face. Everyone's looking at a fucking screen 24 hours a day, type thing. Like, for instance, like with my kids, I make them go outside. I make them play.
Mm-hmm.
I make them put down every technological device. And of course, you're gonna see stupid like entrepreneurs out there, like that one guy who likes to go and sell like race cars and shit, like the stupid thing. And he's like, "No, this is the future. Your kids, let them be on the tablet." It's like, no, you're retarded. You're missing one big fucking picture because those kids are literally being taught by that device, whatever the fuck comes through that
Mm-hmm.
screen, and you don't have full control over what comes through that screen because what comes through that screen could be straight up horrible fucking propaganda
Or
to
just straight
groom
up
them.
dead bodies.
Yeah, groom them to whatever. So like, I think being suave and up to date on relevant technology is important for kids, but you got to have a line. Cut that off. You got to have a middle ground where you cut it off and make them go actually be human beings. Go outside, get dirty, be in the sun, actually be we are animals at the end of the fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
We're not some supreme fucking thing where we're a god or we're some other entity. No, we are still a biological fucking mammal. You have to feed those what's genetically in you. You have to still do that. And a lot of kids, that's why a lot of these kids I see now this new generations that are coming up, I see these pathetic, weak, incapable, conformed little shits everywhere. I see it at my kids' schools, all between the elementary school to the fucking high school. I see it everywhere, and it's just like those kids grew up interfaced 120% with nothing but a phone or a tablet in their face. And that is one of the reasons they are the way they are. They never once learned the rules of the natural law and order of the kingdom. Go outside and play. Let the kids do their thing in the groups. And if there's a spat between them, let them solve it themselves. Don't get me wrong. Make sure no one tries to kill somebody, right? But if there's a spat and there's like a push match, let them push each other. That's fundamental.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying violence is okay, but that right there, the exposure they're getting on a not even just psychological level, they're getting one in tune with like your natural increment of who you are as a mammal, but then two, it's also understanding social boundaries and cues, because you're living that experience. And so you know how you're supposed to treat people. You know how to show respect. You know how to do this, right? Like, it plays into a lot of different things. And that is something that's being robbed out of kids now. And these are the same kids that will fall in line on a drop of a dime if something like what we're talking about
The
with
Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, they'll fall right in line, snap fingers. Anyways, I'm going to digress. But all I'm saying is raise your kids right. Like, actually teach them shit, work with them. Don't let the schools do all the work for you, because they're not doing what's benefiting you. They're doing what benefits the government and the governing body, not in your kids' better interest in that regard. So, anyways, I digress. Let's get back to you, Evan.
Oh, nothing. I have nothing else to say.
I got nothing. I've got nothing.
I got nothing. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you all for listening all the way through. I know this was a bit of a heavier one near the end. It is very.
I got real serious.
You did.
I apologize.
So did I. It is really important information that we know that there are these giant corporation conglomerates like BlackRock, Vanguard, WEF. I've said it about 50 times in the past 2 episodes. Are trying to indoctrinate us and change our way of life. Maybe for the good, maybe for the worse. That's up for you to decide. Me personally, I think it's for the worse. So.
Same here.
Make an effort to talk to your neighbor. Make an effort to know people around you, and don't hate everybody, because that's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do.
I don't even talk to my neighbor.
They want you to hate each other. They want you to hate each other so that you can't talk to each other and change the world. Together we are way more than them. So don't let them control your mind. Turn off your TV, turn off your tablet, go read a book, go outside, go put your bare feet in the ground, do what Jay Gulanello says, sun your balls.
Hell yeah, dude.
No, but anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Like and subscribe. We are an independent media podcast and pod show, so make sure you share it to everybody you know, you love, you hate. Just show it to everybody.
Yeah.
And email us at smartlyuneducated@gmail.com. It is
a real email. It is.
Cool.
Yeah, dog. We went there. It is a very real email. We've confirmed it with at least 3 people.
So if you hear the sound of my voice, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, wonderful week, wonderful life. We'll see you next time, huh?
Yep. Never conform. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Never conform, bro.